Well, good evening and welcome to our webinar this evening for platform launchers. We're grateful that you're able to be with us because tonight we're talking about something that I think a lot of us think about, but probably many of us scratch our heads and try and figure out how this can actually be done. We're actually talking about 7 ways to make an honest living with a basic online platform. And for many people, this seems like the biggest mystery. And I have to admit, for me, it was certainly a mystery. And I'll go into that in just a minute here. For a long time, it was something that I really wondered, could this be done? Is this something that I'd actually be able to figure out and do? Can you make an income with an online platform, and can you do it honestly? Because I see a lot of things that I don't feel are like they're very ethical or very honest, and I don't like when people misuse an opportunity to earn an income online. And so, what does it look like to do it honestly? What does it look like to earn a living online through a platform, but do it ethically and do it honestly? And so, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm really excited to dig into this. And I hope that this is super helpful. And I'm gonna share obviously 7 different concepts with us this evening for our webinar, but I don't want that to be overwhelming to anyone on the call if you're at an early stage of platform development. All I hope you get from this webinar tonight is one good idea that you can pursue. And it might be early in the webinar because I'll be sharing things in an ascending order. And the concepts I'm going to be sharing are purposely in an order that I think will be helpful if you're just starting out, and then kind of taking things in a further direction if you're further along in platform development. So this is the type of thing that you can come back to in time if there's a concept here that you want to dig into a little bit more later on once you develop your platform even more. But first of all, let me just welcome our members. Let me welcome our guests as well. Tonight is something that we're opening up to guests, and I see that we have several with us tonight, so I'm excited about that. We host these training calls each week for our members, and once a month we're going to be hosting webinars that are also open to guests. And as long as you make sure that you're on the email list for platform launchers, you'll get that email. It most often will be during the first week of each month, and previous sessions, previous webinars, previous training events, things like that. It could all be watched at platformlaunchers.com. We hope you'll take a second to check that out at some point if you get some free time. But let me start us off tonight by just talking about 3 reasons why it's helpful to have multiple streams of online income. And you can see them there on the screen. There's 3 major reasons why I think it's helpful to have that. The first is just the freedom and the flexibility that it offers you, because there are things that you can do when you have additional streams of income that allow you some freedom and some flexibility to either make decisions, to make purchases, to help somebody else out with something that they're doing. It really does offer you a level of freedom. It also offers you an opportunity that if you're in a difficult situation as far as traditional employment, if you have a backup option and your current form of employment is going in a direction that you're not happy with or not comfortable with, that's something. If you have additional streams of income, you all of a sudden have some freedom and some flexibility. You also have the ability to really move wherever you want. If for some reason you feel like you need to be in a different place, if you have multiple streams of online income, that is not tied to a location. And so that's one of the reasons why I think it's helpful to have something like that. The second thing that I would just suggest is a benefit that really comes with it is a sense of security. And I don't want to go too deep into that, but when you only have one source of income, you basically have set yourself up for a single point of failure. And most people living in the United States have one source of income. And typically it's a traditional form of income where they are trading hours for dollars. And if that goes away, if for some reason the business shuts down, if for some reason you're laid off or fired, or things transition, or again, you don't feel comfortable working in a particular environment anymore, that security that you at one point thought was there, all of a sudden it goes away. And I have had seasons of my life where income that I was counting on went away, and it's pretty scary when you've got a bunch of little kids and you don't have a steady form of income. I've gone through seasons like that, and so developing multiple streams of online income can really contribute to the financial security of your family. But my favorite aspect, my favorite reason why it's helpful to have multiple streams of online income is it gives you opportunities to actually be generous. My family had the opportunity to be very generous with something just recently, and it was something that we were eager to do that was a blessing to other people. And when I thought about where the income came for us to be able to share that generosity, it came from the things that I'm doing online, and it was something that we just rejoice over having the privilege to do. But that's, of the options, whether it be freedom or security or generosity, that's actually my favorite. I just love the opportunity for generosity that comes from it. Now, before most people tend to succeed at making an online income, they usually need to overcome their doubt. And it's usually related to the fact that they may or may not even think that it's possible for them to earn an online income. I have to say that I would say for many people, the reason they don't even attempt it is because they doubt that they could do it. They see other people do it and they think that there's some magic formula to it. And there really is not a magic formula. There's tried and true approaches that we're going to talk about tonight, but you have to overcome your doubt. And I'll just say my story is proof that it's possible. The context that I'm in, the context that I came from, is not something that necessarily, would, I guess, lend itself to me being aware of different sources of online income. Most people that I know in my day-to-day life aren't doing this sort of thing. And I know at one point I thought to myself, all right, I really need to focus on developing additional streams of income for the sake of my family. And even, just in regard to the nature of the ministry that I'm involved in. Many of you know the story that we went through several years ago, where the church that I serve wasn't able for an extended season to actually pay us a salary. And so that was really tricky. And that led to me starting to invest more time into learning how these sorts of things could be done. And it took me time to figure it out. But once I figured it out, I realized, okay, not only is this a benefit to me and to my family, and not only is it a benefit to those that we choose to express some generosity toward, but it's actually been a benefit to our church because it allows us to be generous in a variety of ways toward our church. And so once I overcame my doubt that it was possible, it's actually something that I've started to pursue. And I take a lot of joy out of, or I get a lot of joy from teaching other people how this can be done. And I'm going to be pretty transparent with you on ways that this could be done as I go through this list here. Uh, Two other things I want to say real quickly before I show you the list. First of all, small gains in multiple areas start to add up. So if you develop one source of online income that you're looking at it and you're saying, all right, that really only earns me $10 a month, you might be tempted to look at that and say that that's not that much. And I guess if you on its own, you'd be right. I mean, it's not that much, but it's a start. It shows you that it's possible. And what happens if you have 7 or 10 or 14 different things that earn you $10 a month or $20 a month? Small gains in multiple areas, they do start to add up. And some of the things I'm about to show you are things that a little bit at a time, if you keep investing in it, what you'll discover is that it actually starts to turn into a real source of online income. And I'm not talking about a bunch of things that are going to take all the time in the world to do. I'm talking about the type of things that you work at once and you make available forever. And before it turns into a really healthy source of recurring income that can do things like, I'll tell you one of the benefits of, of really investing in this sort of things. If you have children, and in our context, my wife wanted to be able to stay home while our kids were little, figuring out different sources of income that allowed that to happen were pivotal. And it was something that had a marked effect on our day-to-day living. But at that time, I had to trade hours for dollars. I didn't really understand how to do this online. And I want to encourage you to start figuring out ways that you could do this where you could actually be earning an income while you're sleeping. It could be like giving yourself a raise when you're doing this. These small gains that you're making in multiple areas. I remember my second year of pastoral ministry, the church that I was serving decided to give me a $700 raise. And I was grateful that they chose to do that. And when you take $700 and divide that by 12, that's, not that much over the course of an individual month. But when you add it up, you realize, oh, wait a second, if I add $100 to my income each month, that's like giving myself a $1,200 raise. If I had $200 to my month, that's like a lawyer looking, hey, I'd like to offer you a $2,400 raise. If an employer said that to you in terms, you would say, well, generous. Well, I want to show you how to give yourself a raise by making small gains in multiple areas and really starting to add these things up. So let me show you those 7 streams of online income. And again, these are going to go in ascending order. We're going to start with easiest to implement at the early stage of a platform to the type of things you'll probably be implementing once your platform is a little bit more developed. But the first is this. It's the easiest one to implement on day one, crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is basically where the people that consume the content that you are creating, they look at your content and they say, you know what? I realize that it took you time to do this. I realize that it takes you money to be able to pay for website hosting or or whatever aspects of a platform you're doing, or just the fact that you're taking time out of your schedule to do this. I want to incentivize you to continue to create this content because I find this content helpful. And so many creators of online content, whether it be podcasters or bloggers or people doing things on YouTube or whatever it may be, have started to utilize crowdfunding because it's a very simple thing to implement on day one. And one of the easiest things you could do is just create a donate or support button using a PayPal button that you just put right on your website, or create a link in your show notes, for your podcast, and just create that donate or support button. And before you know it, you've got your first source of crowdfunding. Another popular source of crowdfunding is something called Patreon, where people can become monthly members to support what you're doing. These things, by the way, are free to use. They just typically take a small percentage of what comes in. And that's the incentive for these companies to make options like this, whether it be PayPal or Patreon. And so those are 2 ways that you could do some crowdfunding right away. But I'll show you my favorite. And I've only recently discovered this, and it's called Buy Me a Coffee. And Buy Me a Coffee basically allows people to, digitally speaking, buy you a coffee. And the typical amount for a coffee is basically $5. And so someone might come to your site or go to your podcast and say, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. I want to say thank you. So I'm going to buy you a coffee. Well, obviously, if they're listening to your show and they live in a different country, they're not going to have the opportunity to meet you face to face and buy you a coffee. But digitally speaking, they could buy you a coffee. So it's just a simple way to send you $5 and say, hey, thanks for doing that. But I've had people buy me 3 coffees or buy me 5 coffees. I even recently had someone buy me 18 coffees, and at $5 a piece, that's a decent amount. And when there are several people doing that, it can become a very healthy source of crowdfunding. And one of my favorite things with Buy Me a Coffee is that it allows people to leave a message for you, and it allows you to then reply back to them. And so that's another reason why I really like it. So it's actually encouraging. I'll check my email and it'll say, hey, so-and-so, a person you've never met in real life, just bought you a coffee, and they left you a message. And it's a very encouraging way to start the day. And these are things I'm starting off our list with this on, like right here, point 1, crowdfunding, because this is something you can implement on day one. And most people don't realize that this is a primary way that content creators are being funded. There are some people that this is all they're doing, and they're making a full-time living just by doing this because their platform has grown large enough. In fact, I was just talking to somebody. I may even have them come on our for one of our guest expert training sessions coming up. But they have developed over the past year a very prominent YouTube page, and they're trying to figure out how to monetize it. So they're doing a variety of things. But I sent them a message. I said, you really want to look into Buy Me a Coffee. I'm certain that you have enough of an online following at this point that you might be able to make a pretty decent living just with that. So those are a few things just to think about right at the start, because that's some stuff that you could do today. You don't even have to wait any time. You could just immediately right now create a Buy Me a Coffee account and then add the link to your website. My Buy Me a Coffee is just buymeacoffee.com/John Stange. That's it. So they give you a customizable domain. Very simple. But those are a few things you could do right at the start, some crowdfunding ideas. All right. Number two that you could do essentially right away is affiliates. And affiliates are basically the type of thing where somebody that has something that they're trying to connect to other people will pay you because you help them connect with people that want to buy it. So this could be programs. This could be something like, so many of you know that Platform Launchers is built on Kajabi. Well, when I signed up for Kajabi, I knew that it was going to cost me $200 a month to pay Kajabi to use their system, to use their program. And I could pay that directly to Kajabi, and that would be that. But I also knew that I had a friend whose wife already had a Kajabi account. And if I used her affiliate link, it would still cost me $200 a month for Kajabi, but she would get $60 per month every time I paid. So I thought, well, obviously I'm going to use my friend's affiliate link. And so my friend's wife gets $60 a month out of my Kajabi payment. My payment's exactly the same as what it was, but because she was an affiliate, she gets affiliate income. Well, there are people that endorse Kajabi and things like that all over the place, and have many, many people that have joined these programs through their affiliate links. And as a result, they earn a pretty steady income. Some of you know that with Platform Launchers, I set up an affiliate membership where any of you could, if you recommend Platform Launchers to somebody else and they sign up for it with your affiliate link, you will receive payment from me every single month for as long as that person's a member. And affiliates are things that you could do with courses. You could do that with programs or even software. Another great way to do it is with Amazon, setting up an Amazon affiliate account. So one of the things that I have that I earn a good affiliate commission with is I have a YouTube video on killing crabgrass that I have an Amazon affiliate link in the description of that YouTube video. And as a result, I receive good income every month from that, where people click on that link, and then I receive income as people buy products on Amazon. Amazon gives me a commission. If you go to my website and you click on any of the products I have for sale on my website, any of my books, I use an Amazon affiliate link to send people to Amazon to order those things. And I do that because not only do I earn a royalty for those books, but I also earn a commission from Amazon for doing that. So affiliates are the type of thing that you can set up right away. And what I'd encourage you to think about is just ask yourself, what types of things are you already using that you're already recommending to others? It might be worth looking to see if they have an affiliate program option that you could utilize, because you could get paid for the recommendations that you're already making. People had recommended to me that I use Kajabi. And I thought, well, all right, I'm going to sign up through their affiliate link. People have recommended other things. If they have an affiliate link, I just jump on board with their affiliate link. It doesn't cost me anything different, but it enables them to earn a little bit of residual income. And that's something that you can do if you just start looking to see what kind of affiliate options there are. And let's say you're just starting a podcast. Let me give you one other application of this. Let's say you're starting a podcast. Everybody thinks that advertising is the only way that you can make income with a podcast, and they wait for advertisers to find them, or they reach out to advertisers and hope that somebody will pay them. You could create your own advertising and create affiliate links to the things that you're advertising, and you wouldn't get paid for doing the advertising, but you'd get paid if somebody clicks on your affiliate link and then uses or purchases the product or membership or whatever it may be that you just recommended. that would be a great way to utilize some advertising income and affiliate income through your podcast if you're doing something like that. Or let's say you have a newsletter. You send out your newsletter with a recommendation that somebody purchased something that you use and that you appreciate, and make sure that you use an affiliate link. And then before you know it, you have a source of recurring online income. And many affiliates pay month after month after month if somebody joins a membership or something like that related to the affiliate link that you shared. All right, let's go to number three. Number three, services. This is the quickest way to to a self-employed income. And in many respects, this is the quickest way to an online income. But I have it at number three because the other things you can implement today, services are the type of things that you might start building on. You might be able to implement services this week. And services tend to be the type of things that you can make a full-time income off of the services that you offer through your website. And I'm going to give you some good examples here of how people are doing this. So ask yourself the question, is there a way that you can serve someone else while delivering that service digitally? So typically the type of services that people are offering are things like this: coaching, masterminds. So masterminds, it's like a small group, very similar to what we're doing right now, where you get a group of people together and you start hashing out ideas and giving each other insight and encouragement. Some people do business audits where somebody will just share a bunch of details about their business, and they'll start going through the business and kind of finding the strengths and the weaknesses of the business. I've seen people do online business audits as a service. Voiceovers, that's something that I've done for quite a few years now, just creating voiceover content as people send me scripts, and then I'll record that and then send it back digitally. Graphic design, I have paid for book covers, I have paid for logo designs, all sorts of things like that. People good at graphic design, or people who know how to use programs that help develop these things, can deliver these things digitally, and it tends to be a good way to make an income. Editing, I know there's at least one of us on the call tonight who makes a good income editing. So editing can be something that you do for books. I've also seen people advertising online that they offer their services for editing, even when it comes to term papers or things like that for students. So there are people, if you could deliver it digitally, it's a service that you could offer as part of an online platform. Writing, there are people that will pay for guest articles or written content that is along the lines of somebody's parameters that they're trying to get something written about. And so just you could deliver writing digitally, and there are people that will pay people to do that if they like their writing. Teaching online, that's another thing that people do, and they deliver digitally. But this is just a variety of services that can be offered and digitally delivered. And by the way, each of the things that I'm listing tonight, I do to one degree or another. And this combination is something that even over the course of, you probably saw this in the email that I sent out earlier today, over the course of the past 5 days, I just looked to see how much the online content and online services and the other items that I was doing online, how much it had brought in. And it was just under $2,000. And that's just in the past 5 days. And so once you get some of these things really built up, you can start seeing a decent amount of income from that. But services this is typically something that you could do in an exponential way early on that could really develop a full or a part-time income, at least for starters. I know somebody, by the way, who recently just started offering, it's more counseling they're doing. For our purposes here, we're talking about coaching, but quite similar. I know somebody that's doing a lot of digital counseling right now, and because she can deliver that digitally, this is something that she's earning an income through offering that service through her online platform. All right, number 4, products and merchandise. And this is something that you're going to see me doing a little bit more, but I'm doing it some already. And I'd encourage some of you to think about this, because many of these things you could just set up once and then it's there forever. And then people that want physical products could just order these things from your website, and you could get paid without any additional work in some context. Now, the first option I have on here on products and merch, this is the type of thing that you would do over and over again if you were an artisan of some kind. So unique handcrafted items. I know somebody who creates things out of rocks that are polished and cut, and they're sold in like a decorative way. I know somebody that creates soap and sells soap. And so these are things that obviously they're doing over and over and over again. I know somebody that does woodworking and sells woodworking items. And so they share these things online, and then they sell these things. These are unique handcrafted items, and they take joy in doing that over and over and over again. So that's one way that you can do products and merch, but there's actually an easier way to do that. And that's typically through print on demand options. And there's two different options here that I'll highlight. First, print on demand books that are mailed and sent for you through services like Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, typically just referred to as KDP. So a lot of my books are print on demand at this point. If somebody ordered one of my books through Amazon, Amazon would create a physical copy of that book after the order is processed, and then they would ship it to the person. They would give me a royalty, and then they would keep a portion of the profit. And all I had to do was write the book, but I don't have to mail it. I don't have to address it. I don't have to do anything like that. They do all the fulfillment. So print on demand books can be a great product. And if you go to my website, you'll see that I have 28 different books presently, and there's going to be several others added to that, where people can just do print on demand options for books. But there's also print on demand products that can be done. So this is things like shirts and mugs and phone cases and all sorts of things. My sons, as a joke, just bought their grandmother a can opener, the kind, or a jar opener, the rubber flat kind that you open with your hands. And it was through a print on demand company that put their faces on it. So when they're with their grandmother, they're typically opening up jars for her. Well, when they can't be there, they sent her this jar opener with their faces on it. I thought it was pretty funny that they did that. And so you could do print on demand products, like, again, like shirts, mugs, phone cases, anything like that, through services like Custom Ink, Amazon, Printify, Teespring, CrowdMade. I really like CrowdMade, by the way. So you might be seeing some more things done through CrowdMade. But if you just take some time to design it, or ask someone in your life or someone that you find online that is creative to design something that fits with the brand of your online platform, you could create a digital shop in, probably less than an hour to make available on your website. And as people order these things, there's nothing else you have to do. They just order it from their website, and all of the fulfillment is done through the company. They make these things after they get ordered, and then they mail them to the customer, and then they send you the profit. And there's literally nothing that you have to do after you design them and make them available on your website. You never have to touch it again. It's work you do once, and you could be paid in your sleep doing those things. Another thing that I've seen some people with online platforms do that's a little bit more hands-on, but it's not that complicated, they'll send out monthly postcards. And if people really follow your stuff, to them, you might be a celebrity. They might kind of think of you as a celebrity. And to receive something that's handwritten from you each week, or each month, typically it usually is in this case, where you're just sending a signed postcard that you're saying, hey, how you doing? Here's where I am this month, or here's something I picked up at a different place. There's one guy, he does a kind of like a travel vlog on YouTube. And from the different places that he's at, he sends signed postcards to people that join his membership. And so it's a way he's doing some merch that results in some online income for him. And those are a few ideas that I thought I'd suggest, because sometimes physical content or physical merchandise can be a useful way that you can deliver or that you can earn an income from your online platform. All right, here's number 5. This one's one of my favorites, because this is the type of thing you create it once, and then after you create it, there's not much that you have to do with it after that. And that's just content. And what I mean by content, I'm talking about written or audio or video. And again, if it can be delivered digitally, it can be easily sold online. So written content could be a book, It could also be something that's shorter than a book. So it might just be like a success guide or something you would call it, or just a pamphlet or something like that. Audio. I once purchased a $30 real estate audio course, and it had to do with a very specific aspect of real estate. And actually, there was some written content with it and some audio with it. So the person recorded themselves talking for about a half hour, and then they had written content that went with it. It was work they did once. They made it available online. I purchased it along with thousands of other people, and I'm sure that every time they made a sale, they thought that was one of the best decisions I ever made, because it was interesting, because they didn't even edit out the ums or the audio bloopers or anything. They just left it all in there because they realized they didn't need to edit it out. The people buying it weren't looking for perfection. They were looking for a shortcut that would help them learn something in the real estate market. And I know I didn't care about it. In fact, in some ways, it made it seem a little bit more genuine. So sometimes you can even get away with that. But video content is another useful thing. I think I've shared with some of us on the call here tonight that last year I decided to create a course. Even before I launched Platform Launchers, I created a course to help people with some of the things that we're doing in Platform Launchers before I had the idea of creating a membership community related to it. But that course was video content that had some written content with it. I did it once, and then it was something that I was able to sell over and over again. But the biggest aspect of the content creation that we're talking about here, that I focus on, tends to be with books. I like writing written content. And I have a lot of books. I have some books that I have not even published yet. But ever since I've started making books available online, whether it be print on demand or whether it be ebooks, that's something that every month I have been paid for years for that written content. So you could spend some time, you could take a weekend and write a short book. I have one book that has been one of my best sellers that, I kid you not, it took me 4 hours from start to finish to put that book together. I put it together in 2014, and it has sold almost every day of my life since 2014. I spent 4 hours putting that together. It's a very short book, but because its content was encouraging and helpful, and because I made it available when others hadn't made that content available, that's something that I've been earning an income on or with for quite a few years now. So content is something you can create and deliver. And it's once you create multiple pieces, that can be something that really starts to add up. Something else that I'll point out here: advertising. Now, I have this as number 6 on our list, because advertising typically is not the type of thing that you will be able to do on day one. And in fact, advertising, it's kind of interesting because people think advertising is the type of thing that you will, that is kind of like the only way to do this. And the truth is, I've just shown you 5 other ways to make an online income other than advertising. But I also will say that advertising can be a great way to earn an online income, but usually you need to have your online platform a little bit further along before people are going to be willing to advertise with you. Sometimes you might find somebody that will advertise with you on day one. That's not typical, but let me give you a few options here to think about if you decide to add advertising at some point to your online platform. First of all, there's pay-per-click advertising. So Google's AdSense, if you have ads through them and people click on those ads, Google will pay you a certain amount just because somebody clicked on that. And it could be as little as 3 cents, or it could be $1.20 because somebody clicked on that ad. Their algorithms make that determination, and then they send you a monthly deposit into your bank account based on however much you earned with pay-per-click advertising. I have used that in the past. I don't use that a ton because one of the things that I disliked about it is I couldn't control what they were advertising. And if I don't like what somebody's trying to advertise, and if it conflicts with some of my convictions, I don't want it on my website. And when I started seeing some things that I wasn't personally comfortable with, I thought, you know what, I certainly like the income from advertising, but if it violates a conviction, I got to take it down. So I took I took that down. I don't even offer it anymore. But some people find great success with pay-per-click advertising, and I've done it in the past, and it has resulted in an income. But when I lost control over what they were able to put up there, I wasn't so comfortable with it anymore. Another option that I've really gotten into over the course of this past year, if you successfully monetize a YouTube channel, so that means you have to have 1,000 subscribers, then a certain amount of viewing hours on your channel. But once you get to that spot, YouTube will allow you to monetize it, which means they will run video ads on your videos, and they will pay you a commission for those ads that they're running. And they're actually pretty generous with the commission that they pay. Once they monetized some of my videos and I saw how much people could really make through video ads on YouTube, I thought that's a very lucrative form of advertising, and I could see why people are motivated to do that. One of my favorites is the next one I have on my list here, advertising with banner ads on your website. So the banner ads that I have on my website, I charge $1,200 per month for those banner ads at present. And maybe at some point I'll increase that. I'll see what the market allows, basically. If people are willing to pay more, then maybe I'll charge more. But at present, I charge $1,200 a month because the traffic that I'm getting to my website justifies that. And so those banner ads bring in a regular source of income. And of that $2,000 that I mentioned that I made over the past few days through my online platform, 1,200 of that was actually from one of the banner ads on the website. The rest was from other sources. Another thing that you could do is you could have ads in your newsletter. If you do a weekly newsletter, sometimes I've had people approach me about putting ads in my newsletter. Another thing you could do is add some ads in your blog post or do some sponsored content creation, meaning where people might actually pay you to be featured in one of your blog posts because they talk about a relevant thing to what your platform happens to be about. But I will tell you this. If you're planning to offer advertising, it's helpful to create something that's called a media kit. And you want to do that ahead of time. And all a media kit is, it's basically a list of the kinds of advertising that you offer and then how much you charge for each option. So in my case, my media kit says banner ad, $1,200. It says, if you want to be featured in a podcast outro, it's this amount. If you want to be featured in the weekly newsletter, it's this amount. And so I have a list in the media kit of each of the options and then what people can pay. And I also have a one-page description of my platform that includes some of the stats, like how many downloads I'm getting on my podcasts, how many, just like number type things, the type of things that somebody doing advertising is going to want to know. And so I tell them about the content and I tell them about the numbers, and then they can determine whether or not they think the prices that I'm charging for advertising are fair. And that can become a good source of income. But I have that number 6 here on the list because that's typically the type of thing that you really experience later on once your platform is developed. Here's one other, and this is something that I know that plenty of us here on the call are familiar with because you're in several memberships. Platform Launchers certainly is a membership. But if you can develop a membership around your platform, and by all means, please use the template that I use here for Platform Launchers if it would be helpful to you in establishing a membership around what you're doing. Memberships are a low cost and, well, sometimes a high cost option, but usually they're a low cost option that people can get involved with that offers content, community, services, and accountability. So just think about that for a second. What should a good membership have? Well, I think a good membership should teach you something. It should have good content that helps you achieve a goal. And I actually think some of the memberships that people are most often willing to pay for are memberships that can also essentially pay for themselves. So one of the things when I'm promoting Platform Launchers, I always try and stress to people, it's a membership, but once you use it to start earning an income, you're going to look at how much you pay for the membership and say, yeah, that was a bargain. And so content that actually helps people develop an income is something that can be a pretty useful way to develop a membership. But it also provides community. So over the past couple of years, many of some of the best friends I've ever made in my life, I've actually made through being involved in online memberships. And I wasn't really willing to pay for them in the past. And then in recent years, I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot and see if that's something that I think is a good investment. And there's one membership that I pay several $100s a month to be part of. But in my mind, I think, no, it's worth it. I like the community. I like the content. I like just the options that I experience from being part of it. I learn things. I'm encouraged. I'm inspired. I think memberships often involve some good services too. And I think typically what that is usually a service related to something that you're teaching. Usually in a membership, you're kind of modeling something or you're teaching something. And then memberships also offer accountability. And where people stay motivated, they stay on track because they know that there are people that they're actually going to have to face and people that are going to ask them about what they're working on. Memberships tend to be successful because they get results. That's why people like them so much, because they tend to succeed with what they're working on when they're involved in a membership that offers good content, good community, good services, good accountability. They offer a blend of inspiration, education, and motivation that's hard to replicate through courses alone. I was recently listening to a podcast that was talking about which is better, an online membership or just creating online courses that you make available on a website. And I actually think both are great, but my personal opinion is that memberships are slightly better because of the blend of inspiration, education, and motivation. My personality style gets more out of a membership than out of an online course. I paid for some online courses a couple of years ago that honestly I haven't yet finished. I still plan to finish them because the content is valuable, but because they're missing that human element of interaction and discussion, I noticed that my motivation to get them done at a very specific time isn't there the same way memberships tend to offer that. And so I thought I'd point that out because there are some people that really are making a very, very thorough and very healthy income through online memberships that serve people well and people consider them valuable. I know someone, well, I'll give you an example here. Some of you know of this person, Dan Miller. I've had the chance to get to know Dan a little bit. Dan is also really good friends with Dave Ramsey. Dan wrote the book 48 Days to the Work You Love. And I'm grateful to have him as an endorser on my most recent book. And he runs a membership that I think has about 1,200 people in it. And they pay about $50 per month to be in that membership. So there are 1,200 people in that membership paying about $50 per month. I would say that that's a pretty healthy income that Dan is earning from that membership. And it's not his only source of income. He's also getting book royalties. He also is paid for other things. He leads masterminds. He does speaking. There's a variety of things. And so his online platform has resulted in him earning a very healthy and very steady income. But I think his biggest form of income is through his membership, and that's directly connected to his online platform. Now, if you're on this call or if you're viewing the replay of this, and if you're interested in creating an online platform, but you aren't sure where to start, I'd like to encourage you to review the launch plan courses that are inside Platform Launchers. And access to all courses is free for 14 days. So if you're not a member, there's a free trial where you can go through all of that for free and then just cancel if you're not interested in being a long-term member. But that's all available inside Platform Launchers. There's a launch plan that'll show you how to get this all launched. And I purposely make it free for a couple of weeks so that people can join and just try it out, and actually use the content and see if it's for them before deciding if they actually want to become a long-term member of something like this. Some people stay, some people don't. But I think anyone that uses this will find it helpful. And so I just want to let you know where it is. If you do use the free trial, look for the launch plan. It's in the members club area, and you'll see that it's the first thing listed in the launch plan area. There's 7 classes in there that will show you how to develop an online platform and what order to do it in so that you can get it started. But I'm going to pull my slides down here, and I'm going to bring us all up on the screen. So everybody get ready to put your best face on for some screen time, because I wanted to make sure to leave some good Q&A time here. Who wants to get the ball rolling here?
Do you mind if I do, Pastor Stange?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
On a couple of things, if I could ask too. On point
Please.
4 with products and merchandise,
Yes.
did you have to put out your own money, any of your own money to get the ball rolling?
Nope. Totally free to set those up. That's a great question. Totally free to set them up. You're just digitally setting them up, and then you just start earning if people actually purchase it. But yeah, you don't have to, there's no upfront cost whatsoever.
Okay.
Isn't that
And
great? Like, tell me that's not the greatest
too good
thing.
to be true.
Yeah, it sounds too good to be true. Well, the thing is, you want to be developing your platform, because your platform, if you're connecting to people, then there are people that like and value what you're doing and will utilize the content that you're making available. So the biggest thing is making sure that you're serving people through your platform, because all these things are peripheral things. I think that if you serve people with your whole heart and you do a good job to make sure that you're providing the best value you could possibly offer, I think the financial stuff will come along on its own. You know, I think it's good to know these things, but I think the finances follow serving people. If you serve people well, I think, you develop a rapport, you develop trust with people, where the things that you begin to offer, they want to utilize, because it's almost like a reflection of your character. So yeah, excellent question. All right. You had another question. What else was it?
Yeah, I just, with the buy me a cup of coffee, how do you make that fit in with your talk so that it doesn't sound awkward? Like, do you just say at the end of your podcast, oh, by the way, folks, do you want to buy me a cup of coffee? How do you make people aware of that?
Who says I don't make it awkward? Maybe I do make it awkward. I don't know. So you could listen to, if you check out actually today's episode of my audio Bible podcast, you'll hear an example of that, because it has that as the outro, I believe, in today's episode. And basically, I just say at the very end of it, I keep it really, really brief. I just say at the very end, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what we're doing and you'd like to support what we're doing, you could always buy me a coffee. The link to do that is in the description. And thanks again for being a supporter of everything we're doing. Something like that. It's very brief. And then I also have a link for it. I've started to put a link for it when I post a blog post on my faith-based platform. I'll put a link to buy me a coffee at the end of a blog post that'll say something like, if this information was helpful to you and you want to support what John's doing, you could always buy him a coffee. Here's the link to do so. And it's been great. I mean, people have been, like I said, people have been using it. And my favorite part of it is actually the messages that people leave, where I feel much more connected to the people that I'm serving with that platform than I did before. Because how do you even know who listens to your podcast unless they make themselves known to you? And how do you know who's reading your blog post unless they say something? And Buy Me a Coffee gives people a great opportunity to just be able to say hi. And so I've actually started to feel like I'm getting to know my listeners and my readers a little bit better through it. So that's actually my favorite part of it. But I'm a big advocate right now of Buy Me a Coffee, because I really like what they've put together. It can help content creators start to earn an income on day one. And some people think this is so hard to do. And that's such an easy thing to implement. By the way, anyone here on the call live, if you first one to implement Buy Me a Coffee that lets me know about it, I'll buy your first coffee. So first one to get it set up. Yeah, that's right. I will buy your first coffee. Just let me know. First one to tell me you're getting a coffee. I will be your first customer. So, all right. Who else has a question or a thought?
Well, I have a comment. When you were talking about affiliates, like how to get going with that, if you guys do a Google search for whatever brand or company, and then the plus symbol, and then the word affiliate, it will bring up information about whether or not that company has affiliate programs for that. So that's a really quick way to get started there.
That's an awesome tip. That's good to know. And a lot of companies offer affiliates because it's cheaper for them than traditional advertising. I think they'd just rather pay their current customers. I even think about it with platform launchers. I think I could go and spend a whole bunch of money on advertising, or I could just pay the members of platform launchers to advertise platform launchers. I think that that's like a win-win. I'd rather actually pay people I know than pay for advertising that I don't even know if it's going to work anyway, if you're paying for the advertising. So, all right. Some other thoughts or questions. I see people writing, so that's good stuff. All right. I hope you guys don't mind if I pick on a few names here. All right. So get ready for your name to be called. All right. Seth Richardson, welcome to the call. It's good to have you here. Tell everybody about the platform that you're building. You've told me about it, but tell the rest of the group about the nature of it.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me join you guys. It's been very informative. About a year and a half ago, I've been building a travel website, so to speak, for anybody interested in traveling to India specifically. That's kind of where my roots are. It's where I grew up as a child, as a teenager. And so anybody who's interested, just to sort of give them a idea of the history, the culture, the social etiquette, how to get there, how to apply for a passport, how to get a visa, all the how-tos, but also just some interesting stuff, popular destinations off the beaten trail, all that kind of stuff. Just to encourage anybody who's interested in traveling to India. Kind of started more as just like a fun thing to be connected to my heritage, but then thinking of ways I could monetize it. So this has been very informative, and now thinking, how can I create more content continuously, sort of through a blog post I have attached to it, but maybe starting up a YouTube video or something. So we'll see.
That'd be cool. Is there any what aspect of the 7 do you think you would be most likely to first implement?
Well, my immediate thought was the cup of coffee sounds great. If there was a way I could do buy me a cup of chai, it would fit really well with the website. And
totally.
Put that in there in the blog.
You can do that, by the way.
Okay.
It doesn't let you change. So the domain will still be buymeacoffee.com/Seth or whatever you pick. But you can make the thing that they buy you whatever you want. So I know somebody that decided that she wanted people to buy her McDoubles from McDonald's. So it says, buy so-and-so a McDouble. So you can change that.
Oh, perfect. And I probably will do that. And the other one would be, the easy one is the affiliate links, because I have hotel, recommendations, airline, like websites to book flights through. And then also just, I have like a suggested packing list, so I could do a bunch of Amazon links in there. So yeah, and eventually get into merch and advertising if I can get enough traffic on there. So yeah, a lot of great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think that's a great idea with the affiliates in your case, because that's what you're doing has a very natural connection to that. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Who else has a thought or a question, or even just a way that maybe you could just share with the group how you might implement something that we talked about here?
I'll go, John.
All right, Tony, that we can hear loud and clear from West Virginia.
That's right. From Florida, currently living in West Virginia. So the Buy Me a Coffee is something that I have thought about, and I really appreciate what John has put out here today, because truly, if you're putting something out there and you have a heart of giving, sometimes it is hard to receive, and you have to give the customer, the audience, I don't like the word avatar, but you got to give that individual that you're seeking a way to respond. It's something that I have always struggled with, is actually putting the ask out there. From a business perspective, sales, I've got way too many books and head stuff on how to do that. But from a giving aspect, sometimes it's a little harder when we think about that. So I just wanted to encourage everybody who's here tonight, that if you're trying to figure it out and it's a struggle of how do I offer something, just do it. Do it.
Excellent. Awesome. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate that. It's great to have you with us tonight. All right. Any other just aha moments for anyone here on the call tonight, or something that you're thinking, I could probably implement that at least eventually in what I'm trying to build? Let me pick on Derek. All right. So of the options that I listed there, where did you feel like the biggest tug? Because a lot of what you've been building is through your writing. You have 3 books out. I know that you're already working on another book. So, for a writer, how does platform monetization look in your mind?
Yeah, so for me, it's just getting it in print. First of all, I would say like you suggested, KDP through Amazon, I think is definitely the way to go. I submitted my first couple books to publishers, and there were publishers that were interested and wanted to publish it. But they wanted money up front, and it was kind of like I thought, I'm supposed to be making money, not money leaving. And thankfully, through asking questions, I was directed to the KDP program and all that. So if anyone's writing books, that's the way to do it. Amazon has a easy layout. It walks you through a couple pages, just fill in the information, upload, what you've written, and it's step by step. So it's a breeze. The first one's always kind of awkward and, am I doing it right or whatever, but once you get the first one out of the way, it clicks. So for me, I feel like my next step, and this is something that's going to stretch me, but writing a book stretched me. So for me, I didn't think I had enough content to go this route, but I'm definitely thinking about doing a podcast.
Nice.
Based on the books that I have, kind of walking through that and just, probably like one a week, ease into it, whatever. So I did have a question with that. If you launch a podcast, would you recommend doing a website along with that, or?
So I always think that it's wise to have a website anyway, because it becomes a good hub that you can send people to. So at the end of every one of my podcast episodes, I send people to my website, because at the website, they can sign up to be on my email list. They can also see the books that I have for sale. They can, see all of that. So yes, I do recommend that. When you start a podcast, they will give you a website just as part of it, but that's not really the website that you need for developing a platform. So if you develop this through something like Squarespace, you can do your podcast on that website for free, meaning like it's included with the Squarespace membership. You don't have to pay anything extra to host a podcast on that. So you'd be paying just for one thing and you'd get 2 things.
Okay.
I think that would cost you somewhere around maybe $12 a month, but I think it'd be less than 20. I think
Okay.
if you paid for a year, it might cost you about $144 for a year, something like that. It's not expensive. And if you're just starting out with podcasting, that's a great way to do it, because you could do the website and you could do the podcast together. There is one downside I've noticed with podcasting with Squarespace, and that's that they don't give great analytics like some of the other paid services. So it's hard to know exactly how many downloads you've gotten and stuff like that with it. But if you're just starting out, I think that's where I would start. I think
Okay.
I'd do a Squarespace website and then use the option of creating the podcast on there. And then if it feels like it's taking off and you like it, then it's worth paying for like a Podbean membership or something like that. And that'll cost you about maybe $100 a year for Podbean.
Okay.
So, I mean, if those numbers don't bother you, maybe you just want to do both on day one, maybe just be
Right.
like, yeah, I'll pay $144 to Squarespace and $100 to Podbean, and just pay for a year and do that. And I love using Podbean for my podcast. But the reason I'm mentioning that, if you just do Squarespace, it's just an inexpensive way to do it for starters, and you could see if you stay with it. Because like I said, most people don't make it past episode 10, and they discover either they hate it or it didn't grow like they wanted it to, or whatever. By the way, for a podcast to really gain some traction, I'm convinced that you got to stay consistent with it for 3 years. And that's why most podcasts never catch on, because how many people are willing to do something for 3 years without a whole ton of validation along the way? You know,
Right.
The people that have popular podcasts, they stuck with it for 3 years or more. And now we look at their shows and we're like, oh, wow, your show is so popular. And it's like, well, it only took them several years to get there. You know what I mean? So awesome question. Cool. Any other questions before we finish up tonight? I want to make sure that if there's something floating around in your mind that we take time to address it, because this is a useful topic. I got to tell you, this topic here, you know, I know sometimes I think this can be an issue or a subject that people are hesitant to talk about. But I look at this sort of thing as it's like a stewardship issue. There are a lot of things that you can do if you're a good steward of financial resources. There are a lot of ways you could bless a lot of people, and hopefully that's exactly what you'll do with the finances that may come to you if you decide to invest in something like this. This is something that it's just kind of amazed me, some of the opportunities that have come my way through investing in some of these things. And like I said, my favorite thing to do with it is just the generosity piece. It does something for your heart. It feels good. It makes you feel like you're doing something pretty useful with your life. Any other, just insights or thoughts from anyone here before we finish? Yeah, Rob, go for it.
John, one thing I was thinking about, most of the time when I'm on this call, I hear somebody's platform that I want to check out, and I'm not organized enough to remember. And I know we have a member directory where we can link Facebook, Instagram. Is there any thought to having a member directory where each person can link a platform, or is that something beyond the scope of what can happen? I just oftentimes I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're doing.
That's an awesome idea that I didn't even think of. So I'm going to look into seeing if that's something allowed. I don't think so. In the member directory, the way Kajabi is set up, it lets us put our social tags. So my guess is that one way we could do this, if you have a platform, and I just updated this, for instance, on my Facebook, and I think even on my Twitter, I put platform launchers on there. So if you go to my Facebook, you'll see that Platform Launchers is one of the platforms that I lead. So that might be one way we could do that. So if you have yours up, if you have your website up, make sure that somehow it's available on your socials. But I also like the idea, and I could probably just create a page, Rob, where I just list, people's names and your platform link. I'm willing to do that right there in the member area. I didn't even think of that until you said that. So that's a great suggestion. So put it this way. If you send me a message with your platform address, if you've got it up there and you want to start promoting it within the group, just get that to me and I'll make sure I'll create that page, and we'll just create we'll create our own directory. I don't think it's built into the software to do that, but I can think of a way to make a page that just has that. I love that idea. That's a pretty cool thought. All right, plug yours. Give yours a plug since you brought up the idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to send that over to you. I think that'd be cool because you assembled a really interesting and diverse crowd here.
Yeah.
And it'd be fun to piggyback off each other.
And here's the other thing that's crazy. This isn't even half of our group. There are some people that are in our group here that never join us live on these calls. So if they're watching, hello, get on one of these calls so we could see your face. There are people, I know their names and they're in the group, and I can tell that they're interacting in the group with the content, but they never join us for the live calls. What are you waiting for? I know you're watching this replay. What are you waiting for? Show up live. Let us see what you look like and let us hear your voice. That would be great. So, but yeah, Rob, I'm going to do that. I'm going to follow up with that. So, and anyone that sends me a link to their platform, I'm going to create a page, and that'll be right there in the members area. And please cross promote each other's stuff. I saw Jennifer, I created in the forum, an area where we can help promote each other's stuff. Now, obviously, if somebody in Platform Launchers is creating content that you're not really on board with, you're not going to promote something you don't agree with. But if you find something that you like that fits with what you're doing or something you could really get behind, promote each other's stuff. That's part of the benefit of being in a group. We plug each other's stuff. I'm in other groups where we plug each other's stuff, and it really helps everybody out. And so, I know our group is young, but let's really do that for each other. I know Jennifer was the first to use in the forum. I put, like the promotion help. And Jennifer posted something there about the book bakery that she's doing right now, a name that I love, by the way. I don't know if you've checked out if that domain is available. Bookbakery.com. Is that available?
I'm not sure if I have that one or not, but I'm addressing a bunch of envelopes for the people who signed up. So I've got stickers and all sorts of fun stuff in there for them. So it's going to be so much fun.
That's awesome. Well, if you can help, and Jennifer's paying an affiliate, by the way. So if anyone signs up for her book bakery because of you, so she'll pay you money.
Or even general editing.
Yeah.
For anything for referrals.
Just go make money off of Jennifer's work, like let her pay you. So, all right. Good deal. Anyway, thank you guys for being on. I see someone, I don't get to always see all the comments here, but I'm seeing some of them here. And so thank you guys for being here. Thanks for the encouragement. Hope everybody has an awesome week. Shoot me a message if you have any questions in between now and next week, and we'll see you guys next time.